The government's decision not to extend the Brexit transition period was partly driven by concerns that the UK would have to pay massive amounts into a coronavirus aid fund. According to reports, the government's decision not to extend the Brexit transition period was partly driven by concerns that the UK would have to pay massive amounts into a coronavirus aid fund, according to reports. The claim comes just days after the UK announced that it is refusing to extend the period amid the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. The transition period is due to end on the 31st of December and is intended to allow the UK and EU to negotiate a trade deal. A government spokesman said that an extension would require the UK to continue following EU rules at a time when it needs flexibility to deal with COVID-19. But a source close to the negotiations told the Sunday Telegraph that the source said it would be clearly not in the national interest to pay into an EU budget in this way, adding, "We need to spend money on our own needs in our own way." Meanwhile, David Frost, the UK's chief negotiator, explained the government's position on Twitter. He wrote, "Transition ends on the 31st of December this year. We will not ask to extend it. If the EU asks, we will say no. Extending would simply prolong negotiations, create even more uncertainty, leave us liable to pay more to the EU in future, and keep us bound by evolving EU laws at a time when we need to control our own affairs." Mr. Frost and the European Commission's chief negotiator, Michel Barnier, said they held constructive talks on Wednesday to set out dates for trade deal talks throughout the year. 3 full weeks of talks have been agreed on, with the first discussions taking place on Monday. The rest will commence on May 11 and June 1, the BBC reports. The talks will likely be over video, however, following the cancellation of face-to-face discussions last month because of the COVID-19 outbreak. As part of the UK's withdrawal, Chancellor Rishi Sunak has said that he is confident that this will be the case without changes to the current timetable. But Sir Ed Davey, acting leader of the Liberal Democrats, said the government's refusal to extend the transition period was deeply irresponsible. He claimed that the government had failed to recognise the severity of the coronavirus crisis faced by the UK and countries across the EU, according to the BBC. Britain voted to leave the EU in June 2016. Withdrawal finally took place, after being delayed several times, at the end of January. In a statement, the GMB union said Health Secretary Matt Hancock must answer a series of questions including whether the government would now join the EU's testing kit and laboratory equipment procurement scheme. The same union warned that medical staff may refuse to work if adequate PPE is not available for them. But regarding the PPE scheme, Work and Pensions Secretary Therese Coffey told LB